Welcome back to Island Tea with your faves, Kevon and Azem, and it is Monday, March 15th, 9:10 a.m. And we are joined in studio for our segment Eat Local by Mrs. Carlene Henry-Morton. Good morning, welcome.
Hi, good morning. Good morning, everyone. To my hosts and also to persons who are listening and perhaps viewing. I don't know the extent of your program, but good morning, everyone. Happy to be here.
Everyone listens in the world.
And watches. And watches.
I would imagine.
So we love to start this segment off with you telling us a little bit about who you are and what it is you do, so our viewers and listeners can get to know you a little bit.
My name, Carlene Henry-Morton, and currently I am the permanent secretary at the Ministry of Tourism, Transport and Ports. I'm a mother of two. I think a lot of people know my children. Married for almost 40 years, career civil servant almost 40 years as well. And that's basically it. I taught for, of those almost 40 years, I taught for about 33 years. So the rest of it would be at the ministry where, I currently work. And just happy to be able to contribute on whatever level I am allowed to building, our nation and making sure that I do my best while I am able to. That's basically a big part of my philosophy.
Right, because, I would have first come in contact with you as a student at the Basti High School. You taught English.
And lit.
And literature, yeah. I think while I was there, you were actually head of the English department. I think Kevon was one of the students as well?
Could be. I normally say I don't remember everybody whom I would have taught. If you were well behaved, most likely I would not remember you as readily as those who gave me, that little extra.
Nobody remember them there.
Right? And I don't mean that in any, negative way. Normally, when children come to school and they're well behaved and so on, they're there.
Right.
And you applaud them for being those children who make your life easy. But for some strange reason, the difficult ones stand out more. For some strange reason,
Yeah.
So if I know that Kevon was at school when I was there, but I don't remember if I taught him because I'm not going to remember everybody that I taught.
Right.
That's difficult.
Kevon, you see, you needed to be a bad boy. You wait until you're in school to start misbehaving. How can I do that?
No, I just misbehaved smartly.
Okay, all right. Behind the scenes.
But let's start there. Or maybe even before that. You grew up in what area of the country? Like
in Sandy Point.
Sandy Point.
Primary school, secondary school, preschool. It was only when I went on to sixth form that I actually attended the Bastia High School. But everything else before that, Sandy Point.
You see, so, the problem is now.
What? What is the problem? I don't see a problem.
The problem is now that it's now hard for us to reconcile that you are a Sandy Pointer when we see how you were always such a huge voice when it comes to the competition and the rivalry between Bastia High School and Sandy Point. This is not how do you reconcile that?
It was easy. That was Sandy Point High School was the school I attended when I was a student and so on. Then I became the principal of Bastia High School, and Bastia High School became my school.
Right.
And I didn't have any difficulty defending and supporting Bastia High School.
Indeed.
Had no problems at all.
Because I know that was one of the things that I was very happy about when you became principal. I think that one of the things that I witnessed was how your love and passion for all things Bastia High School filtered down to not only the students but even throughout the staff. And I think that was something that went a long way in really aiding to the rich legacy that Bastia High School has. And that is something that I'm very thankful for you for, like as a past student there, because I think when we talk about Basta High School, like I talk about it with so much pride. And part of it is not only just the experience that I would have had there, but that rich tradition that you feel, and I think that comes directly from the heads. You know, when I was there, Miss Cable was the principal, when I taught, Mr. Vaughn would have been the principal, and then you would have taken over sometime after that. But how do you feel? What do you think like was your part of your legacy as being like the principal there at Basta High School?
Well, I don't do anything. I try my best not to do anything halfway. If you are going to do something, you do it with all that you have. And I take that wherever I go and whatever I'm doing. Even the work that I do now.
Right.
And I try to encourage and motivate and inspire my staff likewise to, anything you have to do, you give it the best shot that you can. And as you're saying, you do not know who is looking on. You do not know who you're going to inspire. You do not know who you're going to motivate. I wanted, when I was at Basta High School, even before I became the principal, I made sure that I got up every day thinking that this is going to be the best day. You have to have that type of personality in order to teach.
Right.
You have to have it. No matter how difficult yesterday was, you have to say, today is going to be a fabulous day. I am going to get all of the children to behave. I'm going to get all of them to learn. And you don't just say it, but you prepare yourself mentally and otherwise, the way you would, for example, do your work preparation.
Right.
When you're going to the classroom, you want to reach every single child. If you're taught and you feel as if somebody got a bit left behind, you go back over your work prep to see perhaps I could have done it a bit differently. I like to say, for example, people would ask me, okay, you taught literature and for years the books would be the same. How do you teach the same book year after year and not get bored? I say, because every year you see something different. You read it, and not only that, every year you have a different set of students sitting in front of you. You can't teach this batch of students the same way that you taught last year's students, because these are different students.
Right.
You have already psyched out. You kind of understand these children who I have in front of me. I have to slant my lesson this way because they seem to be this. These personalities seem to be these types of personalities, and this is how I'm going to connect with them.
And
so,
I guess every class does have its own personality too.
Of course. Of course, and
yeah.
you have to basically psychologically work out who you have in front of you and prepare your lessons accordingly. That's how you connect with people. That's how you connect with your students. I remember having a batch of students. They were a little slower than the others, and Mr. Vaughn used to say to me all the time, I don't know how you manage to teach this class, and you don't have to bring anybody to me. You don't have to every minute be putting people outside, and I don't know how you manage. But we had our own little vibe going on in the class. If I go in and the classroom isn't clean, I said, I begin to pick up, first of all. I said, listen, why is the classroom not clean? I begin to pick up. I said, okay, let's all prepare the classroom so that, we can all be comfortable in the space that we are going to occupy. After I would have done that maybe about 3-4 times, when I go to the classroom now, if it is not tidy, if he's not looking the way that, then I begin to get a bit more firm. I say, listen, I've said already, when I come to the class, I expect to meet. And gradually we begin to understand each other.
Right.
So I would get to
build
the
a
class.
rapport.
Yeah, I would get to the class and, you see them tidying up and fixing this thing,
Right.
And then we get on with our lessons. I would photocopy stuff that I think that they would enjoy, so that when we do comprehension, it's not just some run-of-the-mill, topic, but something that I have noticed that somebody in there likes to talk about the sea and the ocean and things. So you would look for comprehension passages that perhaps have something to do with fishing, and so
right.
you connect with them in that type of way. And I used to tell them all the time, listen, you may not be the children who are at the top when it comes to the academics, but there's so much more that you can do. If you want, when you grow up, if you want to be a fisherman, that's your choice. But be the best fisherman that you can be.
Right.
Be the best carpenter that you can be. Just make sure that you are self-sufficient. You don't have to beg and borrow and
Indeed.
steal and so on. So you talk to people and get them to understand that when all is said and done, you take away all of the fluff, you are a human being. Just be the best human being that you can be, the best citizen that you can be. And so we move our way up from that.
Right. I think what you're saying is so interesting, because what it proves is that teachers play such a vital part in the lives of these children. Like you were describing, not only being a teacher in a traditional sense, but perhaps even being a counselor. I know sometimes teachers have to end up being mothers and nurses, right? And playing such an important role in because the truth is the children spend so much time in school, you know, and a lot of times they spend more times in that environment than they do at home.
And sometimes the teacher is the only person that they have to look up to, or to have that guidance from, because some children come from homes that aren't the best, and they truly look forward to going to school because they know when they get there they have these teachers that give them that love that they may not be having or getting at home. So yeah, I have to tip my hat to all teachers, honestly.
Yeah.
I remember being in a speech day, and one particular teacher who was chairing the program, he made an observation because he was relatively new to the staff, and he said, "This is the first school at which I have taught, and the principal actually stands by the gate and says good morning to everybody, or walks up the corridor and says, 'Good morning, Miss So-and-so. Good morning. Hi.' I didn't even realize I was doing that. It was just part of me to, say good morning, how are you? And if you didn't behave, you have to say, listen, you're going to behave today, you don't humbug me up, you hear me? You understand?
Right,
you make a little joke,
right.
give me a high five. And, because as Jade is your name? As Jade is saying, sometimes the first good morning some of these children get is when they turn up at school. They wake up, nobody has said good morning, everybody in the house going about their own business and so on. And, they want to feel that warmth, they want to feel that they matter to somebody.
Right.
I used to end every assembly with, remember at Bastia High School, we love you and we want the best for you. Every single assembly. As trite as that might sound, you don't know which child that connected with.
Right.
And, somebody is telling you, I love you and I expect good things from you. I expect great things from you. You have it. You have that potential. You have it within you to make something good of yourself.
And not only that, sometimes that first interaction makes that child's day, because they might just have left home, not feeling the best, not looking forward to the day. But because you greeted them in such a way, the whole day has changed. Like, they would have a much better day because they were greeted by somebody that they feel like love them and appreciate them and care for them. So I wish more schools would do that.
And it wasn't just about me. I think that the staff began conducting themselves in a particular way too. And as you're saying, Azem, I think it's a tradition. It's not just me. It's a tradition that we have had at Bastia High School to try to connect with our staff, try to connect with our students and so on. I must at this point in time talk about Mrs. Roberts, Arlene Roberts, because she was a little social butterfly. And that is something that I picked up from her. She always, to me, she lived the adage that I read somewhere, if you don't feed the teachers, they're going to eat the children. You understand? And so she made sure she had all these little things at the end of every term where, as simple as it might sound, we would have our little raffles and, each teacher got a chance to win something. Number 24.
Right.
And then you go up and you get, so a little thing with maybe cups and a mug, something to go home with, a candle. So everybody, when she went abroad, she came back with everybody got a pen,
right,
a sharpener, tools for school. She made sure that the teachers felt as if they were appreciated. And that, as simple as these things sound, they motivate people to give of their best, to want to.
Indeed.
Because teaching isn't easy. I don't think anybody thinks so, but I think it is worth saying that teaching is not an easy job.
Yeah.
And when you feel as if you are supported by the management of your school and so on, we feel as if we are a family.
Right.
All of us would work out the difficulties together. And so as I say, you come in every day thinking, this is going to be a fabulous day. I don't care what yesterday was. Right. Today is going to be a fabulous day.
Yeah, that support really goes a long way in motivating you on the job. And,
yes, it does.
putting you in the best position to perform.
Right?
Yeah. But you have since moved on from that career path. yes, you mentioned it, the PS, the Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Tourism. Is that correct?
Tourism, it's now tourism, transport and ports.
Yes, tourism, transport, and ports. How was it transitioning from teaching and going into this different path? You call yourself a technocrat, but how was it moving away from teaching, something that you would have done and done well for so long?
Well, I looked at it there are different components to everything that we do. So I went from one leadership role into another. And for me, leadership is leadership. People are people. The principles apply across the board. You treat people with respect. You go in understanding that just as you have things that you want to share with those persons who are working with you, you are there to learn as well. So you have to be open and receptive. You can't just march onto the job and say, okay, I am here, this is the way I do things, and I expect everybody to conform. So you observe. You go in, you observe, and you meet a team that is there already, and you demonstrate that you're willing to work along with the team. And then there's the other aspect now of learning about the business of tourism, because that is something that I wasn't familiar with. Right. I knew in a general sense, what tourism is and so on. So I'm still in the process of learning about, the little nuances and idiosyncrasies and all of those things that are particular to tourism. But I have a fantastic team. We tend to work very, very well together. And so we have our challenges, but we work them out together.
Right.
And I would say that we are being very productive with a lot of the things that we do, the projects that we are working on. Those improvements that you are seeing down at Black Rocks, for example, that is a tourism project. We are in the process of also doing quite some work down at Eco Park, trying to enhance and to, encourage Kittitians, not just our visitors, because I like to tell people there's such a thing as domestic tourism, and I think we are finding out that now with the shutdowns and the lockdowns and the reduction in travel and so on.
But just speaking about the projects, and one project that is I'm very interested in is the work that is happening at the Frigate Bay Strip. That's also a tourism project, isn't it?
Yes.
So what's happening with that project, and where we at, and where is that looking to go?
We have we have the land side of things taking place and the sea side of things taking place. The land side of things, we are putting in our washrooms. You realize that we would have paved the road, because before that it was dirt, a dirt road, very muddy whenever rain came, and very dry and dusty whenever you didn't have rain. So we have put in that through road. On the sides, we're putting in our washrooms. We're actually putting in a police outpost.
Like an outpost,
Like an outpost, right? We want to put that in. And we have a number of other things that we're working on. One of the holdups with the washrooms would be the sewage. How do we dispose of the sewage? Because we want to do that in a very environmentally friendly and very responsible way. So we have been working along. It's actually a government project in collaboration with CDF.
Oh, okay.
Right? And a little slow, but we prefer to do it slowly and to make sure that it is done in a very responsible way than to rush it, and then we have issues down the road. Just about maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, I think we have finally come up with a feasible and very environmentally friendly way to make sure we dispose of the sewage.
Okay.
We're still fine-tuning a few things here and there, but I think that we are comfortable that what we are going to do would not harm the environment. The beach side now, we are putting in some breakwaters and groins, because you realize that over the years, with all of the storms that we have had and the hurricanes and so on, that beach has really taken a serious beating.
Yeah.
And the locals who used to go there, we got a lot of complaints. I'm getting cuts on the foot, and as a matter of fact, so many people are not frequenting the beach.
Yeah.
So this is about the 3rd or 4th attempt at beach nourishment. I think that one of the areas where the beach nourishment in the past may not have delivered the results that we were looking for is that the groins and breakwaters that were recommended were not put in. So you would go, you dredge up the sand, you have all of this additional yardage of sand and so on. But the next storm that comes, monies literally get washed back out to sea.
Yeah.
So we were adamant at the Ministry of Tourism that unless we get everything, the monies for beach nourishment, meaning putting back the sand,
Right.
putting in the groins, putting in the breakwaters, making sure that scientifically we have all of our ducks lined up in a row. We know exactly what we are doing. It doesn't make any sense to move even one grain of sand.
Right.
And government listened, and so that is where we're at now. So you see the groins going in, you see the groins have not begun as yet, but the breakwaters have been put in. And we are learning from the persons who are doing the work, the service providers, that we have already begun to see around the breakwaters quite some marine life. So people will be able to dive and, see the marine life. And that is exactly what we are looking for. We have already begun to see incrementally sand coming back and so on. And the work isn't finished as yet. So we are very, very happy to hear the reports that are coming back to us from the service providers over at the Strip. And so we are monitoring. We are making sure that we do the best we can to deliver optimally on that particular project, both landside and seaside.
Right. I think that that beach, it's been interesting to see how over the years, it's changed, and like you said, it's gotten to a point now where, even though that particular stretch is very popular, restaurants, nightlife, and things like that, for sea bathing, it's dropped off a bit. And so I'm hoping that this work that is being done, and you're saying that we're already seeing positive results from the work that's being done coming through, that we could really see a return, of people being able to go there, seeing it as a place that they want to go, take their families and stuff like that. But I could only imagine, like now, in the current climate, this pandemic, how I don't even know the word to use, but just being in tourism, being in the position you are, and recognizing as things develop what the situation was and how it was going to be affecting tourism. How was that? How what was the mindset? Your mindset personally, not necessarily of the ministry, but when you started recognizing that, wow, this thing is something that's not going to last 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and it's going to affect what is perhaps one of the main industries, if not the main industry on the island.
My mind's, I think by nature, I am an optimist. You have to be, right? So it doesn't mean that you deny the reality of what is unfolding around you, but you already begin to think, how can I reimagine what I'm doing? How can I refashion, we are not going to have all of these tourists coming in because travel is down and everything and so on. But how can we get our stakeholders to understand that you can still make a living? It may not be to the extent that you would have had you had 1 million plus tourists coming in. But what can you do to encourage more locals, for example, to begin trying to access your service, trying to use your products? How can you begin to work not just by yourself? So Azem used to have a business where Azem alone used to work, and that brought in the returns that you were looking for. But Azem now has to begin to see how Azem and Jade perhaps can bring on Amali and somebody else, so you work in clusters so that everybody gets an opportunity to make a little something, even if it is just to tide you over and to pay the bills and so on. And in the meantime, you can still use, because there are so many platforms, virtual platforms that you have, to get people understanding that your business is still around. It has been tweaked and shaped a bit to fit into the current dispensation, but I'm still offering X and Y and A and B, and begin trying to reimagine and still prepare yourself, because the pivot is going to come.
Right.
Tourism will come back.
Yeah.
What are you doing to keep our brand front and center to remind people that St. Kitts is still a very beautiful place that you can come to visit when we get over this hump that we are now experiencing and so on. So it's not about people just sitting in a corner and bemoaning and saying, woe is me. I understand, I know that there are the difficulties out there. I am not trying to poo-poo it away and pretend that, all is well. But you also have to have a spirit that is going to, of innovation.
Right.
It's innovation, right. As I said, we had a program there on Saturday, and I said it is innovation for product differentiation. How are you going to differentiate yourself? How are you going to remake what you're doing? How are you going to survive? You have to shift that gear and get into survival mode. And if you try one thing and it doesn't work, try something else.
So you had mentioned...
Go ahead,
Kevon.
You had mentioned earlier when we were talking that you guys are working on the eco park and you guys are trying to focus a bit more on the domestic tourism.
Mm-hmm.
What other initiatives you guys are putting in place to really get the domestic tourism going? Because during this pandemic, it really showed us that not only do Kittians, they haven't really explored the island, like we think everyone would have, but on top of that, we haven't really seen the tourism world catered to the domestic product. How have you guys been working on trying to really appeal to the domestic market?
Well, I'll answer that by saying it's not just about us doing. We want people to come to begin to see St. Kitts with fresh eyes and to come to us to say, you know what I have been doing? You know what my partner and I have been doing? These and things. How can you help me to market, to advertise that I have X and Y down in St. Paul's or Molyneux, or, you understand what I mean? Kevon and so on. So because we do not have a monopoly on all of the things that possibly can be done in St. Kitts. As a matter of fact, sometimes when people come and they talk to us about some of the things that they're doing, we're pleasantly surprised to see that there are locals thinking like that, So we want to encourage people who have these projects and products and so on to come and let us know what you have. In addition to that, we have been running a number of workshops. I spoke about clusters earlier. We have been running a number of workshops for our stakeholders, for them to basically see, who else is out there, who are the other colleagues in tourism, and what products different people have that can blend and merge almost seamlessly with what you are doing. And that is something that we have been talking about even before COVID, the whole idea, because let me tell you the whole value chain that we are talking about. If you have a taxi, right? Okay, there's only so much taxiing that you can do. You carry people around and everything. But if you have a taxi service, Jade has a little farm to fork experience that she does. So the taxi man gets his money to bring them down to Jade. Jade carries them around on the farm and they have this, organic experience, picking and making their own juices and everything and so on. So they do that for 45 minutes perhaps. Then Jade has a friend somewhere who down in Sandy Point can take them around to maybe a community walk.
Right.
And we carry them down to what we call Downing Street.
Right.
Let me just think Downing Street. We'll be amazed at what, in some of these places that we live, we don't know the history. I found out, since I have become the permanent secretary, that the house that I was born in Sandy Point, once used to hold parliament.
Oh, wow.
The house is still in my family, right? Downing Street is called Downing Street because it was one of the places in St. Kitts when Sandy Point was the town where the aristocrats lived. If you walk down Downing Street, you would realize it is one of the widest streets that we have in St. Kitts, and it is paved with cobbled stones.
Right.
The most of the buildings down that road, the bottoms, the downstairs.
Yeah, the lower part.
The lower parts. They are made of red brick. Those bricks came down on the boats when the boats were coming down empty to carry back up the sugarcane. They were called ballast in order to balance the boat.
Right.
The boat came down with those red bricks. There was no need to carry them back up because you were now going back up with the sugar, the sugar. And so people use the bricks to make the bottoms of the houses and so on and so forth. My grandfather's house up Crab Hill, I am hearing, and I do have a letter from Marcus Garvey, that when he came to St. Kitts, because my grandfather was very much a part of the Black Power movement in St. Kitts and so on. Marcus Garvey stayed with my grandfather in that house. I do have a letter from Marcus Garvey where he thanked my grandfather for accommodating him and everything and so on. So, I mean, and I'm sure that there's so many other stories around St. Kitts that we can use when you go to other islands. You'll be amazed at some of these simple things that they make a whole big tour over. People pay money and go into these places and so on and so forth. So it is for us to begin to think like that and to build out a lot of the history that we have, the culture, the traditions, and so on and so forth. And we do that in such a way that when a tour takes place, 4 or 5 different people can earn a living because we have that interconnected type of arrangement.
Yeah, I've seen that, and I've been on several similar types of experiences. For instance, I know there's a friend of mine who does a tour with his brother. His brother was a chef, and he's a fisherman.
Mm-hmm.
So they do this thing where, you go out on the boat and you catch fish, and then you go back to basically the backyard,
mm-hmm.
and they literally cook the fish right there. They teach you how to clean the fish.
Mm-hmm.
You cook the fish, you season the fish, everything right there. And then you have like a dinner, there's little entertainment and thing from somebody who just lived down the road. And it's a whole experience.
Of course.
But and they keep it, it's about 5, 6 of them who kind of came together to create that experience. And they do very well.
Mm-hmm.
So, what you're saying is something that, is very important here, especially in this time. And I think we have seen lots of innovation from a lot of local, but there's definitely continuous room to continue to do that and to adapt. And then, like you said, it's necessary, especially in this time. Have you seen a real, let's say, the locals really embracing, some of these experiences and becoming involved since the pandemic? Have you recognized that as something, or is that something that we continually need to encourage?
It is something that we need to encourage, but I know that some persons have been doing some of these trips on their own, but some of them have been also accessing organized tours. I spoke to a particular individual. I don't know if the person would want me to mention her name, but I won't because I have not asked for permission. But the person was telling me that she got together with her in-laws and a few friends and so on, and they did a particular tour. She said, Carlene, I felt like I was in the Mediterranean. I didn't know that St. Kitts has all of this going on. I think they started somewhere on a boat, and they went down the coast and came off and went inland and visited certain places and so on and so forth. But she said, listen, it was an eye-opener for me. The person was saying, every time I had a few days to myself, I went to Miami, I went abroad. And she is so amazed at what St. Kitts has to offer. I pointed out certain areas to her. She was like, I didn't see them, I didn't know that they existed until, because the person actually called me about a particular project that we're working on, the Rails to Trails. I don't know how many of you know about the Rails to Trails.
Enlighten us.
Starts in Trinity, just outside the Anglican Church, and we go along the trails. So we have cleaned up those trails right down. So you go to the back of Challengers and everything, which, by the way, is the first free village in St. Kitts. Okay. So you walk to the back of Challengers, and you go right down, and it takes you down to Bloody Point. By the time you get to Bloody Point, you can go up into the grotto up there, and those the Carib rock joints that you see in Old Road, that grotto is full of them. Because apparently it was a sacred site for the Amerindians and so on, the Caribs and so on. But, and while you're doing that, you're getting a tour. They're telling you about Trinity. I think the Trinity Anglican Church is one of the older churches on the island. Right. The flora, the fauna, the panoramic view that you get from that elevation looking out to sea and so on. If any ships are passing, you see all of that. And, you hear about, I think there are a few persons, I think somebody down in that area has a chicken farm. And, and so you just talk about what is in front of you. And you also infuse little messages about caring for the environment and, that type of thing. Right. And it has turned into a fantastic, as a matter of fact, from what I've been made to understand, there is a bicycle club that uses the trail pretty often because it's nice and cleaned up and everything and so on. And we have a lot of history in St. Kitts, a lot that, apart from the visitors who come, that we ourselves, if every other Saturday we make up in our minds that we're going to do a particular tour. And by the way, let me talk about Leonard Stapleton. Fantastic tour guide. He walks out. He's a human encyclopedia when it comes to St. Kitts and the history and everything and so on. He's somebody that we use a lot.
Well, we did have him on the show, so we know exactly what you're talking about.
I'm telling
Incredible.
you.
Wealth of information.
Right.
Incredible.
And he does a fantastic job just, filling you in on, those gaps. Because, you went to school and you did your history, but nothing compares to that type of walking, talking experience that you have, and you have the opportunity to ask questions and so on. It's so much for us to learn. And as a people, it is important for us to know our history so that we can advertise, market. People stop us and they ask us questions, visitors ask, almost at our fingertips we can respond. Of course.
Right.
When we travel, even when we do get a chance to travel again. Have you ever been to St. Kitts? No, I say, but let me start to tell you about St. Kitts.
Right.
Before we're going on the person booking their passage. That is what we want. We want our people to be knowledgeable about the destination and be our ambassadors, as you say, very easily and seamlessly able to market and to talk about what we have on St. Kitts.
That's a good segue.
Well, I know since we're in a pandemic still and tourism kind of used to feel like it was marketed to foreigners. We look at a lot of the commercials and we don't really see people that look like us. Going forward, do you think that there's a way for us to feel more represented? And even with that, I feel like if we see ourselves in these commercials and ads, we are more inclined to want to be a part of or take advantage of our tourism product that we have here. That could be a reason why a lot of locals haven't really explored what we have to offer or dived into the things that the tourism industry has. So going forward, do you think that there would be a way for us to feel more included in the ads and the marketing and the billboards and all of that type of stuff?
I definitely think so. The St. Kitts Tourism Authority is actually the marketing arm for tourism. We do what we can do ourselves, the ministry. But it is definitely a lesson that I think we are learning. We are paying closer attention. I think in the back of our minds, we knew that there was a domestic market, there was a local market to appeal to and so on. But COVID has brought it home very forcefully to us, that the two things can coexist. You can have that marketing that targets, the international, regional type individual, but you definitely need to carve out a space for marketing to our local people. And I think that is something that we definitely are going to action going forward. I want to commit myself to saying that we will be able to see more of that. We will do more of that because we are very happy with what we are seeing with persons. Even for Nevis, it's not just St. Kitts alone.
Right.
Look at what happens on the weekends. A lot of Kittitians go over to Nevis, from what I've been made to understand, Nevisians are coming over to St. Kitts. And we need to do a lot more of that.
Yeah, there's definitely been a rise in that, I'd say, over the last maybe 2 years, and even since
especially in the pandemic.
Yeah, during the pandemic, the weekends, you see the water taxis going back and forth, full both ways.
Right.
People, what our friend Mark Jim Bradley calls it, social intercourse between the two islands.
Yes.
And I, for instance, I know a lot of times when I was spoken to friends and things, a lot of them, when they talk about going to Nevis, it was something that happened one time on a weekend
like
when there was
family or church gathering.
One time when they were small, sometime a few years ago. Now you have people going over a few times a month, right? I think the water taxis makes that a lot easier. People are more likely to do that. But even just experiencing, the sister island, is a big part of what I think is coming out of the pandemic. And so, we have to look at some of these ways in which, like you said, COVID brought these things to us. One of the things too, after being locked up in the house, right, during the lockdown, I realized a lot of people all of a sudden started rediscovering outside there.
Yep.
What? I could do all kind of things all of a sudden.
All of a sudden, people going on hikes. It's like, you never hiked before, you never even walked down the street. So it's like, no, you find a lot of this happening, and I think it's going to be so interesting to see how, we could continue to build out that market, to the locals especially. And I love that you guys are actually encouraging some of the persons involved in the industry to create some of these experiences that would appeal to us, the locals.
I agree.
We are also working with the Ministry of Agriculture. Just Saturday, we had the prize giving ceremony for the backyard garden competition.
Right.
And the St Kitts Backyard Garden Association was officially launched at that particular function as well. And, somebody might say, backyard garden and tourism, how y'all get in that? But what we are trying to do, because a lot of our tourism product depends on the natural environment.
Yeah.
It depends on aesthetics, beauty. When people, you want people to be mesmerized by, how organized our communities look when they pass through. One of the things I want people to say, where tourism is concerned, when they pass through all of our communities, they must remark, wow, you people seem to have quite a high level of civic pride. Just about everywhere we go, the place is pristine, it's immaculate. I mean, even in the yards, you can see that people are, really looking after. And it doesn't have to be any big lawn or anything like that. Just a few plants, and not just overseas people either. We local people must take pride in, where we live, the communities in which we live, the yards that we occupy, a little. And then, so you have the ornamentals, and they're nice and pretty and attractive, but you also can have your little backyard vegetable garden. I started a little something since the lockdown and thing. I started a little. And every morning I take pride in going down and picking my tea bush. And they all name Island tea. Every morning I think, and you
really
feel
bring the bush, eh?
that sense of accomplishment. And I've been made to understand that Yarni would love, because she's teasing me about it, that only miserable people could grow mint, and my mint is thriving. So I must be very miserable, right? But, so, and I have my little space, you get your rocks and thing, and you carve out your nice little space and you line it, and you go down in the morning and you water. I mean, you have that sense of accomplishment, that pride, that civic duty, that civic responsibility, that patriotism to look after your little space where you live, the community where you live, and before you know what's going on, that is going to grow so that the entire destination, everywhere you go on the island, it is pretty, it is beautiful. It brings a sense of calm. Yeah. And if I were a visitor, it would say to me, listen, this is a peaceful place. If somewhere is violent and so on, you're not going to likely to see all that beauty. Right. So the message, the subliminal message is these are people who care about the environment, they care about each other, they care about, their homes, and it is in our own best interest, apart from the visitor, to have that good feeling about who we are as a people. And it also benefits us health-wise. If we are going to eat local, we are going to make sure that the places where we live and we occupy, that they're clean, they're tidy and so on. Yeah. When all is said and done, it is to our own benefit to have all of that going on.
I agree.
I think that it's good to see that the ministry is forming some of these linkages between some of the other sectors, because tourism in essence it marketing us, marketing the country, marketing who we are as a people, all of that. And so I'm sure that you guys are also looking into even other linkages, perhaps things to do with sports, perhaps things to do with like with the food and color.
We have Restaurant Week, don't forget,
yes,
that's us.
Indeed.
Yes,
Restaurant Week, that's us.
Indeed.
One thing I've noticed about St Kitts and Nevis, we have some really good food. Not knocking St Kitts because I love my country, but especially Nevis. Oh my God, I would just go to Nevis just to eat. Yes, that's okay. I love going to Nevis just to eat.
Wouldn't bring nothing for me to eat.
I'm sorry. You don't eat all them things.
But we're trying the whole culinary tourism, that niche market, we're trying to see what we can do to grow that as well. So that we have, very much like music festival, we have people who are going to come here, and part of the draw is that, as you said, we want to. Oh, when I go to St Kitts, I just love their cuisine. How creative they are with some of the things that they use, and we want to use a lot of our own locally grown stuff.
Yeah.
The breadfruit and the coconut and the yams and the plantains and that is why each restaurant week has a local ingredient. That is the theme ingredient.
Yeah.
And so we are trying to get the word out to people. Listen, look around you, see what you have, the fruits, the vegetables, all of the different plants that you have. Try to see what you can do to use them as you cook. And not just for cooking either. A lot of our people are also into the beauty, using them, the soaps,
Right.
the creams, the perfumes.
Yeah.
Just Saturday, for example, I was able to purchase, I think it was something to if you have your fingernails and you're getting
oil.
This oil that you can put on and so on to make
Was
sure.
it from Beauty by Kai?
Well, that's one, but I think I got this one from Dawn Hodge. That's a lady in Sandy Point. And so you put it on to make sure that your nails, you don't have any infections or anything like that. Because, those of us, we wear our little false nails and everything and so on. Water might get on it, and before you know what's going on, you begin to have a little problem. So you have your oil that you can put on to make sure that you stave off that as much as possible. Yaffine, that's another individual who comes to mind. Again, all of the wines and I don't know how many of you have seen the packaging.
Oh, that's definitely a big
Yes.
step up.
Awesome.
Yes.
I mean, you could see that
Awesome
quite some
packaging.
thought has been put into it. It's very attractive. They make you want to come over and say, "Excuse me, what's this?" You understand?
Yeah,
And
it's just not displaying
yeah.
thing you have.
But look at it. I'll give you an example. We had the owner here on the show some months back, but Mother Becky's
Yes.
tea, right?
Oh, love that packaging
When you go
so
when
much.
you go in the store and you're looking through, all the teas look the same, and then you get to the Mother Becky's with the nice little bag and like I buy that one. Like it just
Yeah, it gives you that
it draw me in.
authentic Kittitian feel, like that. What is it, like
I
a
drink
croc-
some of Bezos.
It's like a crocus bag kind of packaging, and it has the label on it
Right.
and everything. So you could tell, like, if I'm somebody who traveled here from overseas and I see this is something that I would pick up to take back as a gift of even just to have for me, because this just gives me the authentic Kittitian feel.
You here drinking my Bezos right now?
Yeah, now for me, none, Sam.
Yeah, so our people have really stepped up their game. I think we need to applaud them. We need to commend them. We need to
Yeah.
encourage more people to come on board and to understand that, listen, when all is said and done, our eye is our market. People say that all the time. You see things, you're drawn to them, and it can't be that you just wrap up something in a brown paper bag anymore. The packaging and so must sell whatever is the particular product or the service, but you must make sure that when you're advertising, when you're marketing, it is something that is eye-catching.
Yeah.
That it is going to draw people to ask more questions about who you are and the particular type of service that you offer, right?
Yeah.
You can't just wait for people to find out about you either. You have to be a little more aggressive. You have to
Yeah.
go out and make sure all of the social media platforms that we have out there, you put yourself out there so people can learn about you. And you have one or two little influencers who people tend to listen to and
Yeah.
they have confidence that once Azem says X is a good product, that they themselves would go out and patronize and so on. You have to find ways to make sure that you get the word out.
Yeah, definitely. And we've had some of the local entrepreneurs here on the show, and they present themselves so well, and their products are top notch. I would say it's to a point now, especially with the beauty products and the body products and stuff like that. I tend to go for the local ones, not just out of a sense of trying to support local, but because I just feel they're better.
Yeah.
Like I feel they stand up to anything coming from outside.
And I feel like we need to start exporting or pushing this more like a part of the tourism product. Tourism for me isn't just the beaches and the excursions and all of that. I think tourism has to include all of the experiences that come with St Kitts, so the products, the food,
You go back to food again, Jade?
Yes, because I like food.
She can't help it. She likes food.
But I just feel like there are so many
Me too,
products
CJ, me too.
that we can export or include in the packages that we offer for guests, and even at the hotels, like sometimes guests go to the front desk to ask about the excursions that they want to go on, and we can actually have like a product catalog there so they can know that we offer these things as well. So you can not only you could go on Sky Safari or ATV, but you could actually purchase like the rum or the snacks that we create here, the skincare products, the oils, all those things that would enhance the experience of any guest coming to St. Kitts.
Yeah.
Salad dressing. I mean, the list is almost endless now, the salad dressing, the different juices, the hot pepper sauce, as I said, the candles and creams and, cuticle oils, all types of different types of oils for your skin and for, I mean, it's really phenomenal. It's very encouraging, and I as I said, we must applaud all of our local entrepreneurs, those persons who are stepping up the game, making sure that they do what they need to do. They study their product, they understand, and they can sell their product. They can tell you what this particular ingredient will do for your skin or your hair, or you understand what I mean, and so on and so forth. Or if you go to them and say, I have a problem with things. I realize that I keep getting a rash around. They say, you know what is good for that? And, and they can tell you, and it works.
Yeah, man.
It works.
They're
They've done their
point.
research.
What? Your skin glowing after, you can't believe it's the same skin you
You
had.
don't buy all kind of things from all kind of...
all kind of manufactured things, and you just you got something from one of our local producers, and then you can't believe the difference in your skin, and you can't believe something made locally could do this.
That's why you're going, Jade?
Huh? Yeah, of course.
Wow. But Kevon.
Oh boy.
Kevon.
Fine.
Was it a local product that made you slim?
Yes, it was. It was a very local product that made me slim. No, it was, and I have to give her the props. It was Paula Sturgeon Collins, and we had on the show before. She, a local, doing a local workout and fitness plan and everything, and I dropped that weight in no time.
Mm-hmm. And by the way, before I leave, I think I need to just say thank you to all of the persons. We had 34 persons who participated in the backyard garden competition. 34,
Wow.
right, from across the island. We had 2 categories, the ornamental category, and in that category, Mr. and Mrs. Ivan and Carolyn Matthew emerged as the winners in the ornamentals, and Floretta James placed second. And in the vegetable category, we had Mrs. Dawn Hodge Percival, she placed first. We had Karen Dickinson placing second, and Andron Tuckett placing third. The response, because we started around October, the response to that particular competition was tremendous. I mean, we were very, very happy to see. And they allowed us into their gardens almost on a weekly basis to come and check up to see what progress was being made. If they were having challenges, then we had the people from agriculture who would advise them how to address some of the challenges that they were having. They applied a lot of the strategies and the recommendations that were made. And it was, from what I've been made to understand, it was a keenly contested competition.
I could imagine.
Everybody really stepped up their game, made sure that they prepared the spaces and so on. So I want to say thank you to one and all, everybody who participated, all of the judges, and to my teams at the Ministry of Tourism, because we tend to work very, very well together. Although the different teams have their own duties and, their responsibilities, we tend to come together to make sure that when all is said and done, whatever the project is that tourism is working on, the Ministry of Tourism, Transport and Ports, that it is something of high quality and class. And that was on display on Saturday down at the Eco Park. We hosted it at the Eco Park. We are tending to host a lot of our activities and functions at the Eco Park because that is our way of marketing the park as well.
Right.
And the entertainment, we had the drummers, Royden there. We had, at the end of the actual formal ceremony, prize-giving ceremony, we had out on the lawn an exhibit where a lot of the entrepreneurs were able to display. And they got some sales as well. So we try our best to do that, to organize those opportunities for our entrepreneurs to be able to make that connection with the general public and let people know what they have to offer.
Nice. So guys, bear in mind that there's no backyard association, so get your backyards ready. And then
Pandemic gardeners, this is your time to shine.
but I got my little lemongrass to you, Jade.
I
I got my little lemongrass there going up to you.
More serious than you. You got lemongrass, but I have everything.
All right then.
But I got to
We have a
start
little
somewhere.
competition going on here, you see?
I got to start somewhere, Jade.
I know I
Make
can
him always
wash up
say-
as it easily with my backyard. As in my lemongrass, my mother had peppers and all kind of
Okay, so hold on there, Jade. You never bring a pepper in here.
For what?
And you need to boast about your pepper them.
Right?
What we get there?
Jade does boast about cooking. Jade does boast about she peppers and don't bring none.
I mean, you're hungry. Every morning, Jade come in here and abuse the fact that my stomach growling. I won't bring no food.
Anyway, Miss Morton, how? Because they tried to tie me up, I think
Guiltiness, yes. But Mrs. Morton, thank you so much for coming in and talking to us this morning. It's very enlightening. Thanks for letting us know like what's happening at the ministry. It seems as though even though we're in this challenging time, that there's ways to innovate and step up and to keep moving and keep the tourism product here healthy and at least going until we could see some return of some of the overseas tourists. And that's what I want to big up today. Actually, I want to big up the innovators. I want to big up the entrepreneurs who, in the face of the pandemic, made a shift. You made a shift. You adapted, because really and truly, it's adapt or die right now. Eh?
Yes.
Yep.
Adapt or die. So, big up to all you who recognize, hey, you can't just sit down here and bawl and cry and whatever, but have now taken steps to push into new territory, and in a lot of cases doing so well.
Yeah.
Right? Real examples. Big up yourself one time. Or maybe two times. Yeah, that's a two-time big up there. Yeah.
It was a pleasure being here. I really relish any opportunity that I get to talk about tourism, to talk about the destination, to let people know that we have, as you said, persons out there who are really fighting hard to make that adjustment. We have quite a number of persons who have demonstrated that willingness to work with other persons in tourism, because they understand that, we all have to support each other. When the challenging times come, we have to make sure that we don't just see about ourselves, but if the destination is going to stay, the brand is going to last, we have to make sure that we work together to keep St. Kitts and Nevis, keep the Federation at the top, very competitive.
Right.
We can't just give up, throw up our hands and say, well, that's the end of that. When the guests start to come back, then I will begin to see what I can do. That can't work. You have to make sure that you are, up there.
Positioning yourself.
Positioning yourself. You're in the competition. You're making sure that, no matter what happens, you keep in St. Kitts there in the spotlight.
For sure.
So we want to thank those persons who have demonstrated that resilience, that endurance, that sense of pride still, and that confidence that St. Kitts is going to rebound and that we are going to be ready when that time comes.
Awesome. Well, it's Monday, March 15th. It's another week. Jade, we here all week?
All week.
Use the boss. You can't just tell
All
us
week.
come back
No.
like just don't come Wednesday or something.
Yeah, we can't we can't just get like a few days hiatus. Like just
Yeah, Saturday and Sunday.
No.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, bye. Jade just cracking that whip. Bye. But
yeah.
anyway, that's why I'm gonna follow me hat. That's why.
Oh dear.
But yeah, guys, thanks for tuning in to this episode of Island Tea. Again, like we said, we're here every day, Monday to Friday, 8 to 10, right here on WINNMedia SKN. Check us out on Facebook. All the shows are there. Check us out on YouTube, as well as thank you guys for going to the Instagram and liking the Island Tea SKN page.
You're doing really good.
Yeah, we gotta give them a prize or something.
When we reach
what?
200.
200. Okay, here.
Then give them a prize.
So keep liking the Instagram, guys. Prizes to be won. Jade ain't got nothing. Just don't study Jade. Jade ain't getting that nothing. But
Don't say that. That is not true.
Yeah, don't believe the hype.
Yeah.
Jade frequently lies to us, so we should
Daily.
probably lie to you as well.
Daily. I believe Jade just lied to us just to make you feel good about yourself.
No, it make you all feel good.
Oh, okay. I see what's going on.
Sometimes you got to just,
Right.
But Mr. Master of Ceremonies, do us the honors, please.
Remember that you can't be everybody's cup of tea because you is not a mug. See you tomorrow.